Sidequest made from Trinkets, and trinket number 23, the brass orb etched with strange runes. When your PC presses on the runes, sometimes other ones light up. However, there seems to be no discernible pattern. If the PC succeeds on enough checks, sometimes they will hear an unlock sound inside the orb, but they have no way to open it. The only people that know what this is are people of high power and artificers. Speaking of which, if you meet an artificer, they might have an orb of their own. If you show them the orb, they'll become very excited and tell you that these orbs are artificers' invention to keep up with wizards and bards' magnificent mansion. She explains to the party that if you plug in the runes right, the orb will teleport willing creatures to a pocket plane for 8 hours. However, it seems that the PC has locked the orb from trying so hard to get in, and the only way to unlock it is getting the maker to do so. Luckily for you, every artificer signs their work like this. And your party is off to seek an artificer. Now, where they are is totally up to you, but the hunt is definitely on. Trinkets to Sidequest number 46. A glass orb filled with water in which swims a clockwork goldfish. The way that this starts is every so often an NPC will try to convince the PC to give them the orb, maybe even an encounter or two about the orb, just a few times before. One day, when researching something about the main storyline, the PC will come across some papers stuffed into another book. These papers tell a story of some time ago when a young kraken came to terrorize the southern border of this land. This kraken had no regard for gluttony or greed and consumed everyone who they can get their tentacles on. Until one day they brutally murdered a wizard's son, and she was devastated by the news and decided to exact revenge. She offered to teach their occult magic and they excitedly accepted. And then she true polymorphed the young, foolish kraken into a goldfish and placed them inside of an orb for them to rot as a helpless version of themselves. Somehow the PC gained possession of this goldfish, and the only way to destroy it and to get the cultists off the party's back is to find a Marid that allows them to destroy the magic, trapping the kraken forever. Trinkets to Sidequest number 95, a petrified mouse. The Shadowfell is a place of pure apathy. There is no joy, only sadness, and occasionally amusement. When such apathetic creatures who have no care for others' lives get bored, sometimes they will adventure into the other planes for sick entertainment. This mouse is something called a token. This is a little object given to the PC by a coven of night hags in the Shadowfell that allows them to scry on the PC. The PC does not know this or how they got the token, but if they try to part ways with it, it will return into their sack a few days later. Now the thing is, eventually the apathy takes over again, and the night hags need to find some other way to be entertained. So they start making the PC have bad luck. It's little things like spilling their mead, tripping, cats hissing at you. Don't do this too much because they may think that you are picking on them. Just enough so they seem very confused. Once the bad luck has happened for a few sessions, have them run into an Eladrin who tells them that he smells the Shadowfell on the PC. After a back and forth, the Eladrin will explain what the token is and how to get rid of it for good. Now, how they get rid of it is up to you. My choice was that they needed to bathe in a particular river, but now your players are off to rid them of the prying eyes of the Shadowfell. Trinkets to Sidequest number 97, and the one that started it all, a tiny mechanical crab or spider that moves when not being observed. Every time the PC begins messing with the crab, make them make a survival check. On a success, they will notice that the crab always crawls in the same direction, to the mountains. If your player ignores this fact, then have the crab start softly playing something in a language that they can't understand unless they use magic. And when they do use magic, it is saying the word help in Modron. Oh yes, we're going there. Once they follow the mechanical crab to the mountains, it goes down, 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 deep into the ground until they discover a patrol of Duergar that of course try to kill them. But the crab keeps going down. Eventually, they will stumble across a city made by several caves carved out by the Duergar. Now, whether they fight, sneak, or somehow persuade their way through the city is irrelevant because the crab keeps going down. Until the last cave, which is shut by a magic door with a puzzle to open it. So when the players open the door, they find a group of 5 Modrons who tell them that the Duergar stole them from their home plane and forced them into slavery into making weapons. As the crab reattaches itself onto one of their bodies, the only thing left is to get these 5 Modrons out. Trinkets to Sidequest number 54, a candle that cannot be lit. The long rest after a boss battle, when the PC is going through her bag, she will notice it is warm inside. Pulling out the source of the warmth is the candle, but it has a black flame. The second the PC looks into the light, they become inhaled into the candle along with everything within 30 feet. The PCs find themselves in a void of magical darkness, only able to see what was sucked in with them. Suddenly their wounds are healed, their spell slots are restored, but in the darkness they hear something. So, everyone has become strong and mighty, ready to take on the vicious foes like the one you just fought. But can you take on what you can't see? Your players will then be played with by a very powerful warlock. He never actually hits them, but every time he casts a spell, a 10 by 10 box on the map will be revealed. The goal is to get a single hit on the warlock. As soon as that happens, he bursts into laughter. The wind begins swelling around the players until they are blown out of the pocket dimension and into the camp of the moon just where it was. And the candle, completely melted, reveals a bracelet within the wax that allows you to cast banishment once per long rest. Trinkets to Sidequest number 1, a mummified goblin hand. While on the road, at lower levels, at some point the party is poorly ambushed by some goblins. It seems they didn't look closely over their targets and tend to look more fearsome than fearful like they actually are. The goblins will try to bluff the players into handing over the goods, until a goblin begins to smell it. The goblin closest to the player with a hand suddenly says something to the other goblins and they all lock eyes onto this player. You see, in the olden days, goblins mummified their great warriors to ensure their accomplishments lived on, but when the hobgoblins took over and began to bark orders, they were forced to cut up these mummies and cast them away as they were symbols of the goblin strength. The goblins then ask the players to get rid of the hobgoblins, and in exchange they can become honorary warriors and receive a magical item as a gift. And then, whenever the hobgoblins are dead and gone, your players get to participate in a very unusual ceremony that is giving normal people the rights of a goblin warrior. And the magic item is actually the goblin's hand that you had in the first place, but now it is made into a necklace and imbued with an ancestor's soul. AKA, it makes your weapons count as magical. Trinkets to Sidequest, and possibly my favorite one so far. Number 69, a crystal doorknob. As long as the PC is not threatened, they can use the doorknob to enter a mysterious room for up to 1 hour. After that, the PC is spit out of the room and the door is locked for 24 hours. Now, what is this room? It is an escape room, or one of those games where a puzzle leads into another puzzle leads into another until you have completed a task. Most of the time, it is to get a key or escape. Now, you can create your own chain of puzzles or do what I would and Google DIY escape room for birthday parties or something like that. They should have a step-by-step description of what happens where and why. Then all your players have to do is solve the puzzle and the puzzle and the puzzle and the puzzle until they unlock the way to whatever fey creature, oh yes, you see fit, as this is in the Feywild. Once they meet the Dryad, or whatever you choose, she offers to exchange the doorknob for a jewelry box. By the way, the PCs say no, she can turn off the doorknob. If they solve this at lower levels, the jewelry box casts Tiny Hut. But if they solve it at higher levels, it casts Magnificent Mansion. Probably one of my more out there ideas, but seriously one of my favorite ideas. Trinkets to Sidequest number 46, a dead sprite inside a clear glass bottle. Now this one is a little bit more simple, yet still very lore heavy. The sprite is considered a good luck charm. Yes, a dead sprite's body is considered a good luck charm because the sprite does not decay unless it is in contact with water. However, it is very much frowned upon to have a dead sprite because it's a dead sprite. At some point, the party is going to run across an Eladrin, and this Eladrin is going to tell them that the Fae are sick and tired of the material plane taking dead sprites. So they are going to send hunters to kill the people who have the bodies. This should, of course, make your players very worried. That night or the next night or the next after that, the PC with the sprite will be on watch whenever the party is ambushed by Yeth Hounds, whose main mission is to kill the PC. So they are going to completely and utterly target them. These attacks will continue for the next night, and the next night, and the next night, and the next night, until the player finally decides to release the sprite's body into a body of water. At which point the sprite will turn into mold and then a flower will bloom out of it. And then the F-Hounds leave him alone. Trinkets to Sidequest number 67, a gold monocle frame with no lens. The quest begins the very first time the player adorns the monocle during the campaign. You see, this monocle has a trickster spirit attached to it, and they do love a good hunt. When the PC puts on the monocle, the spirit will begin haunting them. It'll start with small things like, bugs in her bedroll or something like that, but slowly, and the key is slowly so that you are not annoying, things will progress until the spirit takes on the PC's likeness and begins vandalizing the towns that they are in. Now, the one thing that the spirit is obsessed with is eyeballs, so the only way to get the spirit to leave you alone is to give him an eyeball of the same type as the person who is cursed. So, for example, if you are a tiefling, you need a fiend's eye. If you are a humanoid, you need another humanoid's eye. And if you're a warforged, well, you need an artificer. Once you give him the eye and place it into the monocle, he thanks you, and the monocle becomes a dark vision monocle as a reward. Or if you're a conniving DM, the eyeball allows him to materialize in the material plane, and now he is the new big bad. I hope you enjoyed this one, because I personally really enjoyed making it. Trinkets to Sidequest number 91, a needle that never bends. Do you know what a haberdasher is? This is a salesman who specializes in little items for sewing, such as buttons or zippers or the tomatoes to put needles in, or needles. This very special needle comes from a very special haberdasher, Hoshi Hatter, known for their love of the mountains. Now, you see, the PC has no need for this needle, but Hoshi puts a lot of effort into his things and would be a nice thing to return it to them if the PC happened to be in the mountains at some point. However, Hoshi is no simple tabaxi. No, they are the long-forgotten demigod of gifts, something that you can hint at through passerbys and people on the trail and things like that. The quest is to find Hoshi wherever he may be and then return the needle to him. In delighted exchange, Hoshi will offer the PC a nice magical gift for their effort. I personally recommend a hat of spell storing because it just fits so well. Trinkets to Sidequest number 10, the deed for a parcel of land in a realm unknown to you. I don't know how your player came across this deed, but this is not a deed. No, it's not a deed. It's a code. It is a coded message of desperation and a plea for help from a prisoner. They are going to need to decipher this, and whenever they decipher it, this is what it will read. My name is Malthison. I am a bronze dragon who flew in the skies to the east, and even claimed 3 settlements as my own. I was tricked, and thus grounded and carted away into a land that smells like stagnant water. These monsters wish to control me and use my knowledge to help them gain power. This is my last hope. In the east, there is a band of traveling bards that can create an elephant at will. Tell them the mind flares are coming. Please. Okay, so this one might not be a side quest, but it was just too good. It was too good. It was too Trinkets to Sidequest number 98, a glass jar containing lard with a label that reads Griffin Grease. Starting around the second arc, your players run into a quirky, odd, old traveling merchant humanoid who has wares that he has collected off the cadavers of the cities that he visits, and his name is Otis. He will show up and talk to the PCs in every major city that they visit. He is completely innocent, and all insight checks will indicate just that. If he is pressed, he'll say that he is a follower of the god of travel of your world, and they tell him where to go. When he shows his wares, it is quite obvious that in the center of a cart is a large, magically sealed safe. And he tells you that there is a very special magic item in the box, a rare magic weapon that you can make yourself or pull from the DMG or another book. Now, of course, whatever it is, it needs to be tailored towards the player with the Griffin Grease and is very useful. Your party will surely want it, but there's no way to open the safe, and Otis will only trade it for one item. However, he won't tell you what that item is. If they cast a spell or try to persuade him, in truth, he doesn't know what item he needs. The god is going to tell him. And the item Otis wants is Griffin Grease. The idea is that every time they return from battle, Otis eggs them to show they found, and this causes the players to throw the kitchen sink at him, and then eventually
Hey, thank you so much for enjoying your meal with me or crocheting with me or whatever you are doing while you're watching my little Trinkets marathon. I just want to let everyone know that the Trinkets will continue. They will be in short form and they will be on my YouTube as well as my TikTok. Also, the Trinket list for 2014, which is what these are from, is the same as 2024. So whether you are using 5e or 5.5 to create your characters, you will be able to use these Trinket side quests. I plan on doing all 100, and if you have a special request for one of them, please go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. That's actually how all of these ended up getting started, is someone would be like, this one, no, this one, no, this one, except the crab. The crab was me because I like the crab. Anyways, that's about it. Thank you so much for following, and check out the doobly-doo for all my links.